The Korumm is Archon Boreal's polearm of choice, and I can definitely see why. The damage is incredibly good, and alongside that we have an incredibly interesting feature to this weapon, alongside something special at the end. So keep on watching the video, and now let's quickly hop into it. The Korumm is the third and the final melee weapon that I'm gonna be covering from the Archons, and you do of course unlock it by completing the new war quest, or you can get the blueprint and the parts from doing armor bounties as well. And as I mentioned, this weapon has a special unique feature, but we'll get into it in just a second. First, we gotta cover the stats of the weapon. It is a Master Rank 13 polearm weapon with primarily puncture damage being 40%, but it is equal with slash being at 40% as well. The leftover 20% is gonna be impact, with crit chance at 24%, a crit multiplier at 2.2 times, and a 30% status chance being really good. Now, considering it is gonna be a polearm, it has one of my personal favorite stances in the game, Shimmering Blight, and it's going to allow you to slash and dash through enemies with this weapon. Pair it with the build that we have in today's video, and you're gonna be doing really good damage. Now, as I mentioned, this weapon does have a special unique trait. Now, the unique block combo thrusts the weapon into the ground and pulls it out to release an 11-meter shockwave that deals electricity damage and also knocks down enemies. The good thing about this is, first of all, you proc electricity for free, meaning one of the arcanes, melee influence, a little bit of a spoiler, is gonna be incredibly good here. The only thing that I don't like about this is that the animation is quite slow, but you can pretty much spam it, and it is affected by slam damage as well, so if you want to go for that, you definitely can. But what did we go for in today's build? Well, you can see the build up on screen right now. We are going for Condition Overload, Blood Rush, Galvanized Steel for that additional critical damage. We have Berserker Fury, Organ Shatter, Violent Scourge, Vicious Frost, of course giving us Viral, and then Voltaic Strike alongside, well, Melee Influence. Now, Melee Influence will basically allow us, when electricity procs, to transfer all the elements from that enemy to other enemies as well. Even though it cannot be refreshed, the attack rate, it's gonna allow you to proc this many times, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you don't want to utilize Voltaic Strike, considering your blocking combo already has electricity and you can proc it that way, you can change out Voltaic Strike, for example, for Galvanized Elementalist or even Weeping Wounds, which are two good mods to choose from. If you don't want to go with Melee Influence at all, change out Melee Influence for Melee Exposure, and then instead of Voltaic Strike, again, you can utilize, for example, even Heat, Galvanized Elementalist, or for example Weeping Wounds. All three incredibly good options. Considering we are using Condition Overload and we do want a lot of elements, we do need a primer, and my main primer of choice is going to be the Epitaph or the Epitaph Prime. This is the build up on screen. You can copy it whichever weapon you have, and for example, if you don't like using the Epitaph, you can always use the Cedo or the Cedo Prime, which is the build up on screen right now that I use. Again, the old part is going to apply loads of different status elements, and you pretty much can just launch it, leave it, attack enemies, rinse and repeat. Now, this weapon is quite decent, but the weapon I think could definitely reuse a rework, and that is where I come in. I have a couple of suggestions for DE to make for this weapon that can make it much better. First of all, the Archon form. If you watch my previous two videos that are on the Archon weapons, you know that I have a pretty decent suggestion here, I hope. First of all, let's say instead of slamming it into the ground and making it quite tedious and slow, for example, you can make it a heavy attack on its Archon form. Same with the Incarnate forms having a special cool unique feature or change up when they turn into an Incarnate weapon. What you could also do is when you attack enemies, you jab in spears inside of those enemies, and those spears are gonna chain electricity to other nearby enemies. And for example, by pressing your middle mouse button or doing a heavy attack, you can detonate them, dealing out electricity damage. Or make it a throwable weapon, make it so you can throw copies of the Korumm at enemies, and then having one in your hand that's always going to be allowing it to fight, and then again you can detonate them and make it do electricity damage. Of course, the other evolutions could be, you know, damage increases, critical chance, critical damage, and status chance, attack speed maybe, so they can definitely do a lot here, and I definitely think this weapon does need a little bit of a touch up. It is a decent weapon, a fun weapon, decent decent damage as well, and paired with the white Warframe, it is a really good weapon. It just needs that little bit extra of an edge, considering it is slowly getting outshined by other melee weapons. But nonetheless, the Korumm, a pretty decent weapon and a pretty decent unique feature, but many changes would be incredibly good. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon, all that cool stuff. Always very much appreciated by me from the bottom of my heart. I love every single one of you guys. This has been the Gaming Weasel, over and out.